you guys looking? Ready to roll? Okay. Okay, 6:30. I am calling to order the Pickens County Council meeting of Monday, June 2nd, 2025. This meeting is being held to conform with the South Carolina Freedom of Information Act and Council's organizational rules. The public has been notified of the date, time, and place of this meeting, and public notice has been placed, and the agenda has been placed on the county website as well as the bulletin board at the county administration building at least 24 hours prior to the start of this meeting. First item up tonight is the invocation. Councilor Dale Holloway.
Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for all the many blessings that you have bestowed upon us and the goodness in this life that you have presented us with. I pray that you will guide us, give us wisdom to make the best decisions for the individuals of Pickens County. And we ask this in your precious and holy name this evening. Amen.
Next is the Pledge of Allegiance, and we have tonight Braxton Sheriff. He's from the track coach at Easley High School. He's going to introduce us to one or maybe two outstanding athletes from the Easley area.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Coach Sheriff. I'm the head track and cross country coach at Easley High School. This time I have the honor to introduce two special athletes to you. The first one, Mari Kelly, she's a junior on our team and one of our girls captains this year. She not only led the team by example on the track and the field, but also in the classroom. She finished with all A's. This year in her individual event, she had 16 wins. And then in the triple jump, she has never been beaten at the Pickens County Championship, and she is the reigning 4 times Pickens County champion. In the long jump, she is the reigning 3-time Pickens County champion, and she is the reigning 2 times Pickens County champion in the 100 meters. She is the reigning 3-time region champion in the long jump. This year, she was the upper state champion in the long jump, and then she finished 3rd at the 5A state championship in the triple jump. She won an individual state championship in the long jump, and she was named All-State to both long jump and triple jump. She is currently ranked in the top 100 for all juniors in the entire nation for the long jump, and she currently holds both the long jump and the triple jump record at Easley High School. And the next athlete, Connor Finley, he was one of our senior leaders this year on our team. Not only was he one of our leaders on the team, but he led the entire state in pole vaulting from start to finish. He had 7 individual wins this year, and he is the defending 3 times Pickens County champion in the pole vault, a 2-time region champion in the pole vault, and he is the 3-time reigning upper state champion. He has earned All-State 3 times in pole vault, and he is the first Easley track and field athlete ever to win 2 individual state championships. He not only was the state champion, but he broke the Easley High School pole vault record, vaulting 16 feet, and solidified himself as the best pole vaulter in Easley High School track and field history. He was the 4A state champion last year, and now he is the 5A state champion going back to back. Connor Finley and Amari Kelly.
Two state champions, you're going to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Chris Bowers, Councilor Bowers, is your representative, and he's going to give you a token of our appreciation. We'll take a couple pictures too.
Ms. Kelly. Congratulations. It's an honor to represent you from here to Easley, and thank you for the way you represent our community, our county. Mr. Finley, thank you for representing us so well. And thank you for what you do.
Right, state champion. Next item is number 2. It's the public forum. Pickens County currently has 80,000 registered voters. Last year was a busy year for voter registration and elections. Office, they processed over 10,000 new voter registration and updated another 5,500 voter registrations. In fact, in November 2024, the presidential election voter turnout reached an all-time high in this county of 79.7%. So tonight, It's my pleasure to introduce our first speaker, Amy Sams, the Director of our Voter Registration Office. She's going to tell us a little bit more about the efforts in her department and what we can look forward to in 2025.
Thank you. In the past 4 years, Pickens County has held 44 elections. 22 of them were special elections or runoffs. In 2024, we experienced the first mandatory recount since I began with the department. We recounted 5,550 ballots with an exact match to election results. Since 2021, our office has registered over 25,000 new voters and updated nearly 15,000 voter registration records. To successfully carry out early voting and a major election, we depend upon approximately 400 poll workers. In addition, we rely heavily on seasonal workers who assist with everything from answering phones to election night check-in. When Act 150 passed in 2022 and all counties were required to begin offering 2 weeks of early voting, we opened 3 early voting centers. In 2024, we expanded to 5, and over 37,000 early ballots were issued in 12 days. Prior to each election, over 500 pieces of equipment undergo extensive testing and preparation. During early voting and on election night, each voting location must provide a reconciliation of all ballots cast. We verify that all reported totals are accurate, and we physically post hard copy totals from each precinct. After each election, we conduct publicly viewable hand count audits, and we complete a verification of over 35 individual items prior to certification and canvassing. My understanding is that should tonight's third reading of the budget pass, an additional position would be funded for my department. I assure you that we will make very wise use of this position. To be candid, elections are cyclical and often unpredictable. Laws and mandates change rapidly and frequently. Budget requests vary based on the number and the type of election and when they fall. Special elections pop up without warning, and public interest is high. We are already actively preparing for the 6 municipal elections we will hold in November of 2025. In 2026, we anticipate June primaries, a primary runoff, and the November statewide election, and we are already working toward deadlines and task lists. Elections require planning, people, communication, logistics, and a healthy dose of flexibility. Our goal, as always, is to continue providing registration and elections that are accurate, secure, accessible, and credible. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of council, we have 10 other speakers this evening. I call Walt Parker.
Mr. Chairman, members of council, I'm going to give you an update on the Wville Hills that we had in 15 through 18 at Deerwood Farms and Brazil Road. We had over 5,000 visitors during those days that it was here. We had visitors from all over the upstate and actually the whole state. Greenville, Anderson, Oconee, Spartanburg, Richmond, Lancaster. Lancaster actually brought a big coach bus full of people. We also had Aiken, Greenwood, Sumter, Charleston, Abbeville, Lawrence, and Lexington counties that we know of. We also had out-of-state visitors from North Carolina, Georgia, Missouri, Colorado, Virginia, Tennessee, Florida, Alabama, and Illinois. Our Agent Orange's awareness ceremony had 350 plus in attendance for that special ceremony when the wall was lit up in an orange for the evening. I'd like to give special thanks to Pickens County, Deerwood Farms, Sea Level Systems, K-Tech, Patriot Healthcare, A&M Mechanical, Farm Bureau Insurance, Home Depot, Pickens Tractor Supply, Senator Rice, and Outdoor Advertising Association of South Carolina, billboard advertising that they had on 123, 152. King's Asphalt also jumped in. We had a big mud hole that had to be filled. We also Want to thank South Carolina DOT, who allowed us to use their parking lot for overflow parking that was needed on Friday evening during the Agent Orange ceremony. And of course, the Pickens County Tax Accommodation Council, who actually believed in the vision and supported requests for funding for that endeavor. Once we were not chosen back in 2022 when that was originally put in, but we put in for it again a year later, and we managed to get it in. It's originally scheduled for 2024, but with Hurricane Helene, we had to postpone until May of this year. And I hope you all were able to come out and experience and see and have heard the lasting impact from this that will continue to have an effect on our community for some time. We also want to thank Rock Springs Baptist Church for where we started the escort on Tuesday. Pickens County Administration, Pickens County Building Maintenance, Pickens County Sheriff's Department, who also, the sheriff actually assisted us throughout the whole thing by having someone there to support us. City of Easley Fire Department, Easley Police Department, and Easley Mayor, Liberty Police Department, and Liberty City Mayor is also supported. We have Patriot Guard, American Legion Riders, and other motorcycle groups to private individual participants that was in that escort. Business and citizens who lined the escort route to provide a big Pickens County welcome. The wall was assembled by approximately 70 volunteers early Wednesday morning. Easley Fire and Police and the Pickens County Sheriff's Department was a big part of it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Kate Bird.
Good evening. My name is Kate Bird. Tonight I'm speaking not just as someone who supports our library system, but as a concerned citizen who believes public policy should be made in the light of day, with transparency, with fairness, and with full public input. That did not happen this year when the dedicated library millage was removed. In past years when this idea has been introduced, it was discussed publicly, sometimes contentiously, over several weeks. The public was given time to consider, to ask questions, and to weigh in, whether for or against. But this year was different. There was no mention of removing the dedicated millage in the weeks of budget discussions leading up to the vote. No agenda item, no motion in advance, no notice to the public. And yet, after the public hearing had closed, after the opportunity for public comment had passed, a motion was made on the second reading of the budget to eliminate the library's dedicated funding. And just like that, the dedicated library millage that has been in place for 29 years was changed. No warning, no deliberation, no opportunity for those who care about the library to speak up. Even council members were caught off guard by the timing. This change did not come from the public. It came from one person, Councilman Seda, who has long been intent on reducing or eliminating the millage for our public libraries. In 2021, he proposed to reduce the millage to help fund road maintenance. He did the same thing in 2023 and 2024. And in 2025, he used his position as chair to achieve his goal. That's not just bad policy, it's bad process. It erodes trust in government. It sends the message that input doesn't matter and that the public's role ends when the hearing adjourns. This was a decision that affects every resident, every child, every family who depends on the library. It should have been made openly, after honest debate, and with full community involvement. Instead, it was rushed through without transparency or respect for due process. If council members believe this is the right decision, then let the public weigh in. Have the debate openly. Don't hide the vote, own it. Preserve the dedicated millage and protect our library system, because our library deserves better, and so do the people of Pickens County. Thank you.
Reeba Cruz.
Good evening. My name is Reeba Cruz, and tonight I want to offer clarity and perspective on a claim we've heard repeated in recent meetings, that the library's dedicated millage is somehow unfair to other county departments. We need to be honest about what's happening. The library's millage is not unfair, it's simply different. And that difference is by design. Pickens County Council chose decades ago to fund the library this way for good reason. A dedicated millage creates transparency, stability, and independence, 3 things essential to a successful library system. Every penny the library receives is clearly tracked. Every dollar is tied to a tax rate approved by this council. The library board develops its budget, council reviews it, and the public knows exactly where the money goes. That's the definition of responsible government. Compare that to departments funded through the general fund, where year-to-year priorities shift and politics sometimes cloud decision-making. That's not better or worse. It's simply a different model for a different kind of service. And let's remember, the library doesn't have a special privilege. It doesn't get to set its own budget independently or raise taxes. Only this council can do that. The millage isn't a blank check. It's a clear commitment to a public good that everyone can access regardless of income, zip code, or background. Some departments benefit most from centralized oversight. Others, like the library, benefit from a stable foundation and long-term planning. So let's not punish the library for being effective. Let's not tear down a successful model just to make everything the same. Fair doesn't mean identical. Fair means equitable, and a strong, well-run library system benefits every single department by educating the public, growing our economy, and preparing our future workforce. We don't need to choose between roads, safety, and reading. We can and must protect all 3. Don't fix what isn't broken. Preserve the library's dedicated millage. Let's keep what works for the people of Pickens County. Thank you for listening.
Sheila Crawford. Sheila Crawford. Cynthia Gancer.
Chairman Seata, council members, my name is Cynthia. My address is Central. I'm speaking tonight of my concern about the proposal to move our Pickens County Library System funding out of the dedicated millage category and into the general fund. Follow the money. We've all been cautioned to pay attention to the movement of funding to a less transparent pool. That's what's being proposed here. Less transparency is a slippery slope to loss of stable funding and funding cuts, reduced library board decision-making, and political influence of a few over the many. I'm proud of our Pickens County Library System and use it regularly. I'm also proud to bring my young grandchildren to join in many wonderful programs every time they visit. They come to visit from New Canaan, Connecticut, where funding for such services never goes wanting, for very obvious reasons. Their parents are always impressed with the quality, facilities, professionalism, and welcoming atmosphere to all ages and all walks of life. Let's keep it that way. The taxpayers are watching. Thank you.
Sabrina Gdron.
Good evening, members of the council. My name is Sabrina Gdron, and I'm here tonight as a resident, a parent, and a firm believer in the importance of public libraries to a strong, informed, and free society. I'm speaking today to urge you to reverse the decision to remove the Pickens County Library System's dedicated millage, a decision that risks undermining both the financial stability and democratic purpose of our library system. Some say this is just a technical budget move, but we all know better. Removing the library's dedicated millage and folding its funding into the general fund doesn't just change how the library is supported, it changes who controls it. And the control matters now more than ever. Across the country and right here in Pickens County, we are seeing coordinated efforts to censor books, target marginalized voices, and rewrite what our children are allowed to read and learn. So let's be honest. Removing the library's dedicated millage isn't just about money. It's about control, about consolidating power over what information our library provides and to whom. If you remove the library's dedicated millage, you are handing more power over to those same forces, removing the financial firewall that has kept the library stable, nonpartisan, and independently governed for years. Once the funding is absorbed into the general fund, it will be extremely difficult to restore. It will be subject to political ties and special interests, exactly what the library was designed to be protected from. You have the chance to stop the erosion now. Keep the dedicated millage, defend our public library, and reject the dangerous politics of censorship and control. Thank you.
Juliet Penna.
Good evening, members of council. My name is Juliet Penna, and I'm here to speak as a citizen who is deeply concerned about good governance, transparency, and public trust. Your decision to eliminate the Pickens County Library System's dedicated millage is not just a technical budget matter, it's a structural shift that reduces public transparency, undermines the law, and jeopardizes citizen-led oversight of our public library. The dedicated millage provides a stable, visible line of funding that lets taxpayers see exactly what level of support was going to their library year after year. Rolling these funds into the general fund hides them behind layers of budget complexity, making it harder for the public to know what's really being allocated or cut. That lack of clarity is dangerous in a time when public institutions are facing unprecedented pressure to censor books, programs, and ideas. You have a legal responsibility under South Carolina Code 4-9-36, which establishes public library boards as independent, citizen-led bodies empowered to set policy, oversee services, and manage personnel. These boards are not meant to be extensions of political agendas. They are meant to be safeguard open access, intellectual freedom, and community values. But that only works if council fulfills its obligation to appoint qualified trustees who understand their responsibilities, act independently, and follow the guidance laid out by the South Carolina State Library Trustees Manual, a manual designed to prevent censorship, maintain neutrality, and protect public trust. When you remove the dedicated millage and weaken funding transparency, you weaken the independence of the library board. When you appoint trustees who disregard their responsibilities, the damage is compounded. Policy decisions once protected from factional influence can now be directly influenced by it. The structure of our state design was intentional. One law to protect funding from politics, another to empower a board of everyday citizens to lead with integrity. Both must be honored. Please do the right thing, restore the dedicated millage, respect the law, and appoint only those who are willing to uphold their duty to the public, not to any one ideology. Thank you.
Ununice Slaymaker.
Hello, my name is Ununice Slaymaker, and I live in Clemson, South Carolina since 2002, and I'm coming to speak in favor of the dedicated millage for the library. I'm asking you each to consider reversing your decision that takes that away. I'm a pastor's kid. My mom stayed at home. That means we kids didn't have a lot of money, so we went to the library. So we walked there. I've been reading library books since I was a little kid. And now I still do. I don't buy books. I read library books that I can now get audiobooks. And I'm a professional social worker, licensed professional counselor, meaning I work with some of the poor that live in this county. And they use the library for lots of other things. They go in there to use the computers to apply for jobs, to apply for government services, to find out information. You're aware that over time, the libraries will be providing many more services to all of our citizens. There's a bunch of people here today that came because they're opposed to this decision you're making about the library. But could you please notice who's not here? It's some of our poor residents. Your decisions that favor, as others have already stated, taking away control of the library and putting it in the budget and taking away that dedicated millage means that over time, as the library needs to have more and more technology and have more and more services for all of our citizens, that they'll have less money. I don't want any money taken away from the libraries. I want that dedicated millage, and I want the library board and the millage to determine. I want each taxpayer to pay for the library, and not the decisions that you make to pay for the millage. Putting it into the budget means that a future council, you're here not just for us, you're here for the future residents of this county. And a future council, who knows what they'll do, right? But as long as there's a dedicated millage, we can guarantee that the public of the library is here for all of us, for all the people who aren't here, and all the people who will be born. So please leave the dedicated millage in there so the library is sustainable as it has been. It's not broken. There's plenty of problems in the county. I, for one, am aware of. We have a problem with not enough housing. Fix those problems. Don't take something that's working well and unfix it, please.
Britney Fowler.
Good evening, and thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Britney Fowler, and I'd like to express my deep concern and disappointment regarding the recent decision to eliminate the library's dedicated millage and transition to a fixed budget. As a passionate advocate for libraries and intellectual freedom, I believe this decision threatens the long-term stability, independence, and growth of our community and our library. Dedicated millage funding has allowed our libraries to plan effectively, respond to community needs, and maintain high-quality services like our children's programs, summer reading, and internet access, which, like she said, people use for job searches and other things that they need that they may not have internet access. These programs and resources are available for all Pickens County citizens. A fixed budget, subject to annual political whims and less visibility, undermines that ability and puts essential programs, staffing, and resources at risk. This is not just a matter of accounting. It's about our community's access to education, opportunity, and information. The library is one of the most accessible democratic institutions we have. It's an open place for everyone to come to, a safe place to read, learn, grow, and participate in programs. I urge you to reconsider this decision and preserve the millage funding model that has served our community so well. Tonight, your leadership can make a meaningful difference. So please do what is right for our community and restore the library's image.
Alicia Smith.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to speak. Fellow council, county council. I'm excited to be here. My name is Alicia Smith, and I am speaking to you as a concerned citizen of Pickens County. Our public libraries are more than just buildings with books. They are essential hubs of education, technology, workforce development, and community connection for all residents of Pickens County. For that reason, I strongly urge the council to preserve and protect the dedicated millage that funds our library system rather than shifting it to the general fund. A dedicated millage provides libraries with reliable, as you all heard, funding that is shielded from the uncertainties of annual budgeting and shifting fiscal priorities. This stability is vital for long-term planning, retaining qualified staff, maintaining up-to-date technology, and offering critical programs that serve children, seniors, job seekers, and lifelong learners. Moving library funding into the general fund would risk making the library system vulnerable to future cuts or delays, potentially undermining the essential services that residents rely on every day. It also removes the clarity and accountability that come from voters directly supporting their libraries through a transparent millage process. Protecting dedicated library funding is a statement that Pickens County, that you all value literacy, opportunity, and equal access for all. We respectfully ask you to uphold this commitment to our community's future and oppose placing the funding under the general fund. Thank you for your service and for your consideration in the long-term well-being of our library system, and the people that it serves. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of council, this concludes the public forum.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Okay, next item up is number 3, the approval of the minutes. So I'm going to make a motion for the May 5th and May 19 minutes to accept them as presented. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Second. Any discussion on that?
Yeah, I would like to make a motion that we add, under the second reading section, item B, little a, prior to your motions, just the note that I questioned the intent of what to do with library and roads, and then the motions followed that question.
Okay, so one more time for the clerk.
My motion is to add under large B, little a, just prior to Councilman Sada's motions, that Councilman Bowers questioned the thoughts on the library and road system since it had not been discussed.
Okay, I'll second that. Do I hear any discussion? Is that an amendment?
It is.
Yeah, that's an, any discussion on an amendment?
No.
Okay, those in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed, same sign. Passes unanimously. And we're going back to the original motion of May 5th and May 19th minutes. Any discussion on that, plus the amendments? Any discussions? Claiborne, we have virtually Councilor Wimble, so I'm always going to be looking to her, so you may wonder where I'm looking. Any questions or issues with that? Okay, those in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed, same sign. The minutes of the 5th and 19th passed with that one amendment. Next item up is the administrator's report. Mr. Roper, you're up.
Mr. Chairman, members of council, thank you for the opportunity to update you on some of the things operationally that are going on with county administration. First thing I want to update you on is you'll see in the upper left-hand corner the new grinder, which you all authorized the county to purchase. For many years, we had the old grinder, which caused us problems. We are still going to repair the old grinder just because we've got a lot of money into that piece of equipment. But the new grinder is working and working really well. You can see an example of the pad as it looks now. There's still more work to do, but in the lower left, you'll see we're making great progress with this new piece of equipment. I think it's going to do us a lot of good service. But because we're grinding up so much debris, we have more mulch than we can handle. So we're asking the public, if you're doing spring projects right now, please come to the landfill. If you come between Wednesday, between 1 and 4 p.m., Thursdays and Fridays, 7:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. or 1 to 4, you can get assistance loading that mulch, and it's absolutely free. You'll be doing the rest of your taxpayer friends a favor by helping us get that free mulch out. But I want to let you know that's up and going well. We're in the process of repairing the old grinder, so it'll be there for some resilience, a second option while the other one's down for maintenance when it needs to be. So very excited about that and thankful for council to allocate those funds to make that step forward. Culverts, you remember during Hurricane Helene, we had many of our culverts that were washed out across line pipes. And I want to update you on that. To begin with, 2 that are completed, the one at Denmark Drive, and then you see this one here at Long Creek Drive. Those are completed and are back in service. That really gives you a good visual, I think, of what we're talking about when we're talking about these box culverts. This is not simply just a pipe under a road. These are engineered, reinforced, able to handle big trucks over them. So they're engineered, manufactured to certain specifications, delivered to us, and then set in the ground. You'll see the one there in Jewel Merck. That one was set in place last week. Roads and Bridges is working. Jewel Merck will be open by the end of this week, weather permitting. So once we get those things on site, we can turn them around, and our guys do a great job with that. I can tell you that Crest Drive, which you see a little bit of Crest Drive there on the right, is about 75% complete. We have good weather. That should be opened here in about 2.5 weeks. So we're really chipping away at this list. We still have Rollingwood Drive where we've got prep work underway. The culvert is scheduled to be delivered on July 18th. And then once that culvert is delivered, we should have that road opened by the end of July. There's a couple others that are still in the manufacturing stage, but I wanted to update you that because I thought it does a good job demonstrating the resilience we're building into this infrastructure so we don't have to keep doing it again and again. Very thankful for our Roads and Bridges folks for that work. Update on our Sustainable Routes initiative. You'll know that one of the things that we're going to work on all summer long is making sure our routes to and from the recycling centers are well thought out and followed, but also the route within the recycling center. North Old Pendleton opened back up 2 weeks ago. I was there that morning to greet the staff, give them some biscuits and a pep talk, and I told them I got bad news for you guys. Everybody's going to hate this for a day or two. It's human nature. You're going to come up to the recycling center, things are going to be in different places. You're going to feel anxious. That's going to lead you to feeling worried and upset. So I try to give them a pep talk, but the good news is the changes we made to North Old Pendleton, the dedicated striping where we have dedicated driving lanes and dedicated unloading lanes, the speed bumps, expanding the center now to handle the capacity. It was built many years ago for a much smaller county. We've increased by 50% the size of North Old Pendleton and giving people more room to operate. The good news is the feedback we've received from the public has been, at least in my point of view, surprisingly positive. People have taken to it quickly. You can actually go on the website. We do a video walkthrough to even talk to you about how you can pack your car. First in, last out. I think to try to make this thing go even better. And I can tell you that also, not only North Old Pendleton, but Forest Bridge, you might know it as Best Pack. We're calling that Forest Bridge to stay consistent with the rest of our naming. It just opened this morning, and I met the staff there with biscuits and told them I had bad news for them. We started with the same process, but clearly marked lines, spread out process, works better for the citizens, works better for everyone involved, and should be a safer location that will work more efficiently. But I can tell you that the interesting thing about the Forest Bridge walkthrough is when we do that walkthrough, and that video will be up here in a couple of weeks on the website, we're even going to get down to whether you should put something in the left-hand side of the back of your truck or the right-hand side, because it matters at Forest Bridge, so we're excited about that. Next up, you'll see is Table Rock. We'll be closing Table Rock down for 2 weeks to do this same type of refresh, making it safer, making it work better. You may have said to yourself, wait, I thought Willow Springs was next. If you did, you're really paying attention to this process, and I appreciate that. But Willow Springs, we learned something from the first 2 centers that we closed down. We learned a lot. And we can apply what we learned to Willow Springs. We think we can fix Willow Springs to work for another generation. But we're going to move it to the last in line because it's got the most that needs to be done. We'll come back to you with that specific plan, but I'm really proud of our Roads and Bridges staff, our solid waste staff, coming up with a good plan for Willow Springs, but we're moving it out of line and going to put it at the end because we think we have struck upon a really good solution there. So Table Rock will be closing from June 16th to June 30th for us to do those repairs, that maintenance that needs to be done there at Table Rock. When it's closed, we'll redirect you to coming to Midway. You can go to Midway, you could go to Willow Springs, you could go to Dacusville. There's several others you could visit, but look for that. Really excited about this project so far. An update too, and this may from the sky not make a lot of sense, so let me orient this for you, Mr. Chairman. You'll see the yellow block in the upper right, that's the Pickens County Courthouse. Right in the center of the screen is the parking lot for the Pickens County Courthouse. And down in the lower left is the Garvin Street building. A lot of people remember that as the Carolina Investors Building, which the county purchased sometime back to alleviate overcrowding in the courthouse. The idea being that we move some of the agencies in the courthouse out to Garvin Street and thereby make our courthouse safer, give people more space to work, make it a better and more serviceable building for many, many years to come. But there's a problem, and that's that those properties are not connected. You'll see down at the bottom, it says I think that says 114 and 112. The county has entered into a contract to purchase those properties. You've all already approved this transaction, but I wanted to update you and let you know that that closing is this Thursday. So we'll be closing on that property this Thursday, and what'll be good is that'll allow us to demo those buildings. We'll do that ourselves, pending the results of a test for asbestos and those sorts of things. We'll do the demolition. We'll come back and look to pave that, and that'll be good because we will have the Garvin Street Judicial Annex connected by parking lot with our main annex. We feel like this is a good solution, and it'll give us a lot of utility for years to come. So that's in the way of the good news. Members of council, any other questions that you might have at this time, I'll be glad to answer.
Council Lang.
Yeah. Recycle centers. In the redesign, are we making accommodations for handicapped citizens?
Yes, we are. There's a couple things about handicapped citizens that are important when you come, and that is we don't have steps. You don't have to go up or down steps. You don't have grades that you have to deal with other than just what would allow water to run off. But we actually think we're enhancing the handicap accessibility because before there were no dedicated driving and parking lanes. It was the Wild West. So if you're a handicapped individual, we felt like that was not a great situation to have to cross multiple lanes of traffic. So instead, with having a dedicated side of the car, you pull off to one side, you unload from one side. We feel like that helps our handicapped citizens. So we're still looking for feedback. If you or anyone else notice anything that might be causing problems for our handicapped citizens, please pass that back because we want to make sure we get it right.
I did get a phone call, so that's why I asked the question. Do we have that marked so that they know where to go when they drive into the recycle center?
It's marked for the unloading zone. There's not a dedicated handicap unloading zone. It's more just a general, this is the area to park in, this is the area to drive in, which we didn't have before. But they're no further from the bins than they were prior to this. They're the same distance.
Okay.
But if there's more specific feedback, please, you're wide open.
That may be something we want to consider.
Okay.
Any other question? I have a question. I was asked this question, I couldn't answer it, so I'm going to ask you. Why is the landfill open from 7:30 a.m. to 4:20 p.m., which is 7 hours and 50 minutes, rather than the full 8 hours?
It's a good question.
Those are my questions.
And I will tell you that it has been that way. I saw Tom Ponder here. Where's Tom? For time immemorial, the landfill's closed at 4:20. Think, if you would, about the Flintstones. You remember the way the Flintstones comes on? He's at the rock quarry on his machine, and the bell rings, the whatever kind of animal that is crows, and he jumps off the machine, and that's the way the Flintstones started every week. If we kept the landfill open to 4:30, that would be everyone's 8 hours. And so then what happens after that?
Gotcha.
So the reason there's that 10 minutes built in is to allow the scale house to run their final reports, to allow the staff to put their equipment where it needs to go, so that everything will be the way it needs to be when they open up in the morning.
Makes sense. What I'd like to do is I'd like to go out with the litter control officers and one day to get a feel for what they're up to and what they're doing. If you can arrange that. I've done it once before, about 3 years ago.
Yes, sir. I'm sure they would.
I'd like to do it again.
They'd welcome that.
Any other questions?
On landfill, have we ever considered having 1 or 2 days a month open for like half a day on Saturday for the people that work Monday through Friday? They can't.
The landfill.
Yeah, I think you would be a little bit more successful and get rid of some of that mulch if you were open on it.
Yes, well, there are challenges that from a staffing standpoint, you know, we have a relatively small staff, but we will be glad to look at that and see if there's some way we can flex. A few years ago, we tried closing on Wednesday afternoons to try to build in hours at different times. And that was not met with a lot of positive reinforcement. So, but we'll be glad to talk more about that and to see if there's a better solution.
Okay, any other questions? We're good. All
Thank
right,
you.
next item up is number 5. Thank you, Mr. Rowe. Committee reports. Councilor Holloway, we're going to talk about the report from the EMS committee. What do you got?
All right. Councilman Wallace and myself, we did a visual inspection on the upgrades that were performed by building and maintenance on Medic 4, which is the central station. Of course, there was a room that was previously used as a storage room. It has been modified to be used now as a bedroom. And a new structure has been built in the existing bay, one of the existing bays, which will be used as a new storage room. It is our recommendation, a few odds and ends that need to be completed or finished up. There needs to be some brick veneer work completed on the exterior of the new bedroom that was constructed. And we would recommend painting that bedroom as well as adding some closet space for that. Moving over to Medic 8 on Polkville Road, outside bids on the renovation have been very slow in coming in. Up to date, we have none. And we're going into a consideration period to be use the building and maintenance to accomplish that project. Looking to Medic 1 in Pickens, the architectural plans were submitted, bids received, and the estimated cost coming around at $2 million. And presently, the administration is looking at some other ways to cut that cost. That is our update.
Any other comments on that? I got a comment. I visited the central station where you're looking to add that extra station there. I like the idea of building out that, you know, you have those extra bays there and building out one of them and adding the 2 extra bedrooms. Those closets I saw look like closets, not like bedrooms. You know, we're saving hundreds of thousands of dollars on these first 2 projects. You know, I would say, just input to the 3 committee members, I would put a little extra money in in that station to freshen it up a little bit. Those old ceiling tiles, I'd cut new ones and put them in. I'd make sure the overhead lighting is all working. I'd paint all the walls. The very old dryer, I'd probably replace it, as well as the stove, which looks like it's from 1980s with that clock on it. The cabinets are old, but they're functional. I thought the floor was fine. That was my take on it. That's my input from an outsider, not on that committee. But one thing I would like to do is, I think the EMS committee is going to sunset next month, and I'm making a motion right now to extend that committee through the end of September. And the purpose of that committee remains the same, to make recommendations on additional EMS stations in Central, Clemson, Beasley, and Medic 1. Central, Clemson / Beasley, Medic 1. So that's my motion.
I'll second that.
Are you gonna, is that discussion, you think you're gonna have enough time to at least nail down a plan for Central Station in Easley by the end of September?
Yes, we should be able to.
Okay. Councilor Linville, you're on that committee. Any thoughts?
Did you get I was going to second that we need some more time.
Okay.
Yes.
I think we got a second on that. Yes. Okay, so you're good to September 9th on this one if we vote for it. Those in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed, same sign. Passes unanimously. Okay, next item up. Thank you for that report. Next item up is council correspondence. Okay, on Monday, June 16th, I'd like to schedule a work session for up to 3 items. Discussion of Highway 11, rules for the Conservation Bank up there as well. Conservation Bank rules was a goal of Councilor Bowers and the administration. They mentioned that early on. And Highway 11 was also one of my top goals, as well as the administration. Next thing on that agenda, I think something about sewer plant issues. I think Mr. Roper's got something for us for June 16th. After this budget is approved tonight, providing we got the majority vote, most of the goals that we set at the beginning of the year would have been approved, or at least put into motion. So the mid-month meeting in July, I would like to hold another goal session And the administration needs council to come prepared with your top 3 goals. 3. Not 5, 3. Okay. Any other council correspondence? Okay. Yeah, I understand. Okay, number 7, motion for new business. Do I hear a motion for new business? Going once, twice, 3 times. Okay. Next item is ordinances for first reading. We've got none of those tonight. Next item up is ordinance for second reading. We've got, that's 9A, we've got a public hearing and second reading on an industrial park located in Oconee County. Now, I'm first going to call for a public hearing on that. Anybody who wants to talk about this new industrial park that's in Oconee County, we have a paper partnership with to allow them to get certain safe benefits. Podium's yours. One going once, twice, 3 times. Public hearing on that project is closed. Again, this is an industrial park that's located in Oconee. Generally, it's no cost to the county to partnership with them. They give us 1% of the revenue. That allows them to apply for certain state programs when they partnership with another county. And we do with them in Greenville as well. So I'm going to make a motion now for the second reading of this industrial park located in Oconee County. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion on that? Okay, those in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed, same sign. Passes unanimous. Okay, we're moving along. Okay, next item up is third reading. 10A, third reading on a budget amendment for the current fiscal year, not what you guys have talked about, but the current year. So I'm going to make a motion to accept the budget amendment for the current fiscal year as presented. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion or any questions for the administration on those amendments? Okay. No discussion. So I'm going to call for the question approving third reading budget amendment for the current fiscal year, item 10A. Those in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed, same sign. Passes unanimously. Okay, that's what you waited for. Item 10B. This is the third reading for the budget for next year. Okay, I'm going to start with a little statement that I've got to make, just to generally just outline the budget. This is the third reading of the 25-26 budget. So that's for next year. I want to thank Mr. Roper. I want to thank his staff for hundreds of hours that they put into this document. We started the process on January 13th with the goals meeting, with the administration and council put forward their broad goals, top 3 goals. Then we had a meeting on March 24th where the administration gave an overall budget view, and we narrowed those goals to budget-only goals. On April 7th, the administration presented a 79-page budget proposal for operations and capital. On May 5th, the council debated, amended, and approved a second reading of both those budgets. On May 19th, we addressed the operations budget again and the capital budget. We dove into it for the first time, in particular talking to vehicle maintenance and the state of our fleets of vehicles. That was on May 19th. Tonight, June 2nd, is the final vote on the operations budget, the capital budget, as well as those amendments. Here's some of the highlights in here. Rebuilding Medic 1, which is the EMS station in Pickens, and a new EMS station in Easley and Central were the highest priorities of this council, and this budget's doing that. Councils Holloway, Lang, and Linville, they were instrumental in getting that ball rolling and doing it at a low cost. I also want to note that Council Linville pushed for additional EMS needs being included, like gas generators for the stations, Z-vents, a new QRV truck, and those extra things are in the capital budget as well. The EMS operations budget is up 24.8% next year, this upcoming year. So EMS was a high priority for this council in the new budget. Now, last year, Councilor Bowers and County Administrator Roper, under their leadership, and we also approved a new pay system that was more uniform, it was more competitive, and it was for employees. Now, the administration and council this year, they're giving that pay system some sea legs. In this budget, we're approving a 1% step increase in addition, a 4% increase on top of that, so 5% total for employees. Mr. Roper and the council pay is frozen because we wanted all that money to go to employees. Now, think about this. U.S. Congress is talking about eliminating income taxes on overtime. That will further boost the take-home pay of EMS workers and other workers who have overtime built into their pay structure. Next item, Council Lang stressed the sheriff's office was important to him. Their budget's up significantly this year. I think you said it was 13.8%, Mr. Rowe?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Councilor Lawless, he stressed help for the vets. And this budget adds a position of a claims representatives for Veterans Affairs. He also wanted a review of solid waste, and in that review, we bought a new brush grinder, which was needed. Councilor Bowers and Lawless also stressed upgrades at Mile Creek Park, and there's a $1.1 million capital investment to upgrade the utilities at that park in the fall and the winter. Now, there's a lot of money coming in, and most all of it's being invested. Savings accounts are flush. So for the taxpayers, the operations millage has been reduced by 4.6 mils. Now, I'm going to make a motion for the third reading of the budget, including all approved budget amendments made at the May 5th and May 19th meetings. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, Mr. Roper, I understand you have some recommendations on amendments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, here at third reading, there's a couple of things I would like for council to request to amend the budget before passing this final reading. First involves a request from Tri-County Tech. Under state law, Tri-County Technical College, the 3 counties are responsible for operations and maintenance. Because of just the timing of their budget request, it was not included in first reading. We kept it at what it was in previous years. But as they have gone through their process, they're actually requesting an additional $216,000 to cover their operational expenses for Tri-County Tech. That would be Pickens County's portion. The good news is the millage we have levied and the money that we have available for Tri-County Tech is sufficient to meet that request. So it won't require anything other than just to amend the budget to reflect that. So I would ask, Mr. Chairman, if you could do that.
All right, so I'm going to move to bring that recommendation to the floor as a budget amendment for the fiscal year 2025-26 budget. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion on that amendment? Those in favor of that amendment, raise your right hand. Those opposed, same sign. That amendment passes. Get added to the list.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, also, I want to address the situation we have with Pickens County Sheriff's Office as it relates to the new dispatch facility we're building behind it. You'll remember that I announced at first reading that this budget was going to address the staffing needs there to create a lot of administrative dispatching positions and take that responsibility away from the sheriff. Since that announcement, I've had the opportunity to sit down with the sheriff and his staff, and I can tell you that they are passionate, and I respect their passion, about more work needing to be done on any type of proposal like this, that the clock right now just simply does not allow. So I respect their point of view on it. They are the experts right now. They've been providing dispatch services for many years. So in a good, frank conversation that I had with the sheriff last week and along with his chief deputy, we had a good exchange of ideas, and what we agreed at that time is to unring the bell for now, so to speak. So the changes in the budget that were moving dispatch away from the sheriff's office to the administration side, the incentives that I considered were being offered in exchange for that movement, basically we've agreed that we're going to undo those things and replace the situation prior. So the sheriff's office budget will still increase as you've outlined. They will be made whole with the dispatchers that they had if you approve this. So specifically, the motion I would ask is that the council consider replacing all of the Pickens County Sheriff's Officer dispatchers to their budget instead of in the E911 budget. What I've characterized as incentive offerings, meaning the creation of 5 new positions, addition of 2 patrol cars per year to their already capital replacement, master plan for an expanded training facility, and various other equipment replacements up to $75,000, that those be reversed, the incentives that I had offered, and that also we, using the money that's taken there, refund the 6 administrative dispatching positions that we currently have. I think this puts us back at a level playing field, and we will have, me and my staff and the sheriff and his staff will have a good level playing field to start on, with some important work to be done in the coming months in order to figure out what's the best balance when it comes to this situation.
Okay, so I'm going to make a motion to move that to the floor as an amendment to the budget for 2026, 25, 26. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a question. So it's 8 new vehicles.
Yes, sir. As always, 8 new vehicles.
Okay. Does anybody have any discussion on it? This is new, relatively new.
Are we adding any new positions, deputy positions?
Not as a part of this budget, no. It's something that we have to consider going forward, and it's something that the sheriff and I have much conversation that needs to be had.
Any other discussion? Okay, I want to explain this, because I want everybody here to understand, and make sure that I understand it correctly. It's going to take me a second. Last year, the county council approved building a new 9/11 call center behind this building. It's being built now. It's going to open supposedly around March of next year. Now, currently, the sheriff dispatches 911 calls for the police, EMS, fire, rescue calls. They all come out of the LEC, which is on LEC Road. Now, EMS, fire, and rescue are county departments. So they want it to be put under county control. So when that new call center opens, EMS, fire, rescue calls will move over to the new call center, correct?
Yes, sir.
And they'll be managed by E911, which is under Billy Gibson and Ken Roper.
That's correct.
And no longer will those calls be dispatched under the sheriff.
That's right.
Those three departments. Okay. The question was at the time, would the police calls move over too, or would the sheriff continue to dispatch his calls out of the LEC? As an elected official, he has that choice to move them or not. Now, for months, the county administration and the sheriff office, they talked about this possibility. The council was not involved in it. We pledged to support what these experts came up with. Now, when the administration made its initial proposal on April 7th, we were told that the 9/11 calls were going to come over with the rest of it. And 27 dispatchers from the LEC were going to come over to the new center and be supervised by the county B911. Going back in the other direction were extra resources to the sheriff's office to help compensate for his loss of that personnel. This was approved in the first reading of the budget and the second reading. Now, under questioning, it was uncovered it was not clear who would supervise whom when that 9/11 call center opened. So last week, the two parties sat down again and ironed out that EMS, fire, and rescue calls would go over to the new center under Mr. Roper and Billy Gibson and E911. But the police calls would continue to go through the LEC and be under the supervision of the sheriff. Now, this amendment unwinds that initial agreement and those details and what they thought they agreed to. Now, so I'm going to make a motion, a budget amendment. Or did we do that already? We haven't done that yet. Yeah.
Still
Okay,
need-
I'm going to make a budget amendment to move this new sheriff's office county administration's agreement they have, he just said, to the floor for the budget amendment for 2026, for the budget of 2026. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay. Does everybody understand that? So was I pretty clear on what I said? Was there anything I was wrong on?
Yes, sir. I think as you moved on in that conversation, you started talking about operational details, and I believe that's the sheriff's concern. So we're still going to be working those details out. What calls will go where? That's still going to be actively what we're determining. This just takes us back to what it was prior.
So there's been no agreement that the EMS, fire, and
I think we
rescue calls are going on?
understand that, but there's been no formal agreement about that. I don't want to misstate that for
Okay.
you all.
So March 1st, you're going to have an agreement on that?
There's really no other way to go, Mr. Chairman. We will have to have an agreement on that.
Okay, that's on you guys.
That's right.
Okay. All right. Councilor Barrett, you got something to say? Because this started. Nope, okay. Okay, those in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed, same sign.
Thank you all.
That amendment has been added to the long list. Now we go back to the original amendment. Original budget, the amendments from May 5th, May 19th, the two tonight. Any discussion? Council Linville. The final vote on the budget.
The discussion of amendments on the third reading of the budget?
No, we just did, so we've got the third reading of the budget, all those amendments that we've previously approved right now going for a final vote. This will be the final vote on the budget, right?
Okay, I have some amendments to propose.
Okay, rock and roll.
First, I would like to make an amendment to return the library back to its own dedicated millage at a millage rate of 5.1.
Okay, point of order. Okay, and I'm going to ask the attorney on this. She voted in the minority and lost that vote. Is a motion to reconsider, can the minority actually reconsider a failed motion? Because my argument would be that this could be done every meeting for the rest of our lives.
If you could give me one.
Right, I'm taking this.
Just point of order.
Last year when we did the budget. Sorry.
We'll just let them give us an answer. Because you see my point I'm making is that.
Yes.
I think,
I did.
I generally understood on the Roberts rules is that if you lose a vote, for it to be reconsidered, the majority would have to reconsider it. And I think the reasoning is that the minority could just bring that up at every meeting perpetually. And it would just be for nothing, because the votes wouldn't change in the long run. Now, I'm asking them to think they're allowed to do it. I'm okay either way. I just want to make sure we're doing the right thing.
So Chairman, just to report out, Chairman and council members, typically legislative rules require that a member of the prevailing party is eligible to make the motion to reconsider. Mr. Roper has offered to help look for the rule and our own local procedures to confirm our suspicion.
Since he helped write it, he probably should be able to.
What's that? That is my understanding. I agree with her. I don't see it in this copy.
Mr. Chairman, I believe that our rules refer back to Robert's rules when it's not clear.
What's Robert's rule says?
Exactly what our attorney just said. The prevailing party would have to make the motion.
Yeah, see, the reason for that rule is if somebody's in the minority on something, they lose a vote. Every meeting, they could just keep bringing up the same motion forever. And it would generally, the prevailing party has to do it. I just don't want to do anything that's not following the rules, and then we have a problem. You can discuss that all you want tonight.
No, I understand your point, Mr. Chairman, but when we did the budget last year, or I think it was my first year, the library millage actually went through the same thing, and it was originally in one or two readings, it was going to go back to general fund, and then in another reading, we changed it. So I understand, I don't want to relitigate or revote every time somebody loses, but I thought with budgets, because we have 3 hearings, things have changed throughout those hearings, and I thought that there was still time for changes. I'm not trying to relitigate. I honestly thought this was part of the process, but if I'm incorrect, let me know.
I don't know. I mean, I'm just going by what they said. I think the majority probably changed that last time. I don't remember the actual vote, but I mean, the majority probably changed it. I would have objected to it at the time, because I was on the other side. What other discussion do you have on the vote?
I'd like to propose an amendment to add paid family leave for county employees into the general fund. And if I can get a second on that, I'd have an explanation for it.
I'll second for the sake of discussion.
Thank you. We have talked a lot in this budget about having a healthy general fund and about wanting to care for our employees. So in 2022, Governor McMaster signed a bill that he said would strengthen families, government, and our economy. And it was by adding paid family leave of 6 weeks for all state employees. And Governor McMaster said the legislation gives us the ability to better serve South Carolinians by helping us recruit and retain the best and brightest to serve in state government. Most importantly, it strengthens South Carolina families. And with stronger families comes a stronger South Carolina. And I believe that if we can replace South Carolina with Pickens County, that all applies to us. The state offers paid family leave of 6 weeks for a primary caregiver and 2 weeks for secondary, which means the non-birthing parent, or in cases of adoption. And in fact, the current legislative house this year moved to put that towards 12 weeks, but that's still under consideration for the next session. In 2023, paid family leave was extended by the legislation to all of our state teachers. So currently, paid family leave is being offered to all full-time state employees and all state teachers. So I propose that we offer this benefit to our full-time county employees, and I propose it for 3 reasons. One, it is competitive. Several other counties are starting to offer this now. We often do lose county employees to the state, which offer it, or to private businesses, so it helps us stay competitive in hiring. 2, it is good for retention. It is very expensive to lose employees who may leave for maternity or paternity reasons for growing their family. It's a lot less money to keep an employee than it is to rehire. And 3rd and most important, it is pro-family, pro-South Carolina family, pro-Pickens County family. In the Prenatal to 3 national conference I attended last year, paid family leave was listed as the #1 policy to benefit babies, mothers, and families in terms of mental and physical health, bonding, and poverty reduction. In fact, at the conclusion of a 3-day conference, they said if you can do anything to best help babies and mothers in your local government, it's to offer paid family leave. Because we have this increase in our mill value, a healthy increase in property taxes that are making our mill go up, and we have healthy savings in our general fund that I've heard several counselors say, wow, we've got a lot of money in our general fund this year. I believe we can afford it. When I asked for HR to give an estimate of what this might cost. It's really hard to estimate, how many people are going to have babies or adopt babies this year. They did a general estimate that if it was similar to last year, it would cost around $200,000. That cost is hard to measure though, because county employees take this time off anyway. They cobble together sick leave, vacation time, and then it affects throughout the year. And also they're more likely to come back if they get it. So cost is a little bit tricky to coordinate. But because I believe we have the ability to put this into our general fund, because it is an incredible way to retain families and retain workers, and because it is so pro-family, and I believe that this is something that we can afford and should add to our budget for the year.
Any other thoughts? I'll give you my take on it. I really don't know much about it. I mean, this is the first time I've really heard about it. We did get a handout one time. I mean, I'm not really seriously willing to vote yes.
There was an email sent.
I saw that, but I'm not, honestly, I'm not really ready to vote on it yes or no. I mean, I would just assume make a substitute amendment that will put this item on the agenda for the July mid-month meeting. And we'll all gear up for it for the July mid-month meeting. That includes the administration, fiscal impact.
Yes, sir.
We'll learn more. Does that make sense? I mean, that's my substitute amendment. Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
Okay.
So for sake of discussion, or for discussion on that, and for point of clarity, not point of order, point of clarity, we can always go in and add it at the mid-month meeting, and it would just be a budget amendment like the ones we just voted on in the last. So it's not saying that it can't go in effect July 1st or August 1st, I guess in this case. It's just saying that we're going to delay for further conversation.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm not shooting it down now because I don't have the ability to vote yes or no. Any other discussion? Okay.
Could you say that again into the microphone? So what is your what was your response?
My proposal, substitute motion for your amendment,
okay,
was to put your idea on the mid-month meeting. We've got a goals meeting, which we'll get through real quick, 3 goals each, and then we're going to have your item to discuss it at that mid-month meeting.
In the June mid-month meeting?
No, it'll be July.
July mid-month.
July.
Okay, would it still make it possible to happen in this budget year?
Yes. Yes. Right? Okay. Mr. Roper's saying yes.
Yes.
Okay. I think that's a good compromise.
Okay.
Okay. Those in favor of that amendment, raise your right hand. On the same side. Okay, so we're back to the final budget with all those amendments we've listed. Any other discussion?
I'm not going to make an amendment, Mr. Chair, if I can have the floor.
Sure, go for it.
Because I was in not the prevailing group, but I do want to make it clear that we're looking at about 15 roads that could or would or probably will be affected in Mr. Lang's district, about 10 in your district, about 8 in Councilman Lawless's district, and about 7 to 8 in Councilman Holloway's district that probably won't get maintenance or otherwise based on this budget. And I also want to make the point again, just for the public that spoke tonight, truthfully, moving the library from its own individual millage to the general fund millage doesn't defund the library. It doesn't take away any autonomy. And I know that's an argument we've all had. I don't agree with it because I don't know why we should move it. In fact, if anything, I would add the museum to the same fund if it were something that I were to look at doing differently. But just for clarity, because I can't make a motion, I did want to make those points clear, and those are the issues that I have with this budget.
I understand. Yeah, I want to echo what you said about just a couple of points that were made about control. Whether a department's on millage or on budget, county council has final say on how much money they get. So county council could just lower the millage. They'll get less money. They could raise the millage to get more money, or they can just lower or raise the budget. I don't think the general fund by nature is actually something that reduces revenue. I mean, I look at Amy Sams's department, which is very much parallel to the library. It's created by state law. It's got an independent board that hires and fires the director. When you look at her budget growth, the budget of the elections department of the last 8 years, it's one of the fastest growing budgets. When you talk about control and influence, I don't think there's anybody that could sit there and say that the county council has interfered with elections because it happens to be in the general fund. Like I said, his point's a very good one. That's why I was shaking my head there. It really doesn't matter. The county administration proposed taking the library off millage in 2023. Some councils at the time said it would happen the next year. It's really been in the works a while. It's not a last minute surprise. I talked about it first in March of 2021. And I talked about the reasoning at length every year. And I repeated it at second reading. I could do it again tonight. I just don't want to bore everybody. At the first goals meeting, I mentioned it as well. So that's there. Public transparency, whether you're on millage or budget, the budget's revenue and expenditures are in the budget. They're laid out. Probably about page 64 for the library. And when you look at the audit, it's all laid out, whether it's on millage or whether it's in the general fund. There's auditors that look at it and disclose it. Now, it may not be transparent to some people because they don't know where to look, but it's there. I mean, I look at these numbers all the time. State law actually gives the county council a choice. You could put your library on millage. You could put your library on budget. 31 counties are on budget, 15 are on millage. I do think there's benefits here to the library going into the general fund. The first benefit is the library can now spend up to $4 million on its library branches, where before it was constrained to only $2.5 million because it needed its separate own reserve. And once it goes into the general fund, the reserve of the general fund acts as a reserve for all the departments, so they could spend their reserve. The second thing, all library expenses now on the general fund side will be paid for by the general fund. So there won't be infighting. There's a lot of infighting who paid for what between the library and the administration. And then finally, there was initially talks that the budget, when it went to the general fund, the library budget would be cut. In fact, the budget committee raised it by 7%. So that's my thoughts on that. I can give you many other reasons, but that's my reasoning on that. Okay, any other discussion on the final vote for the fiscal year 2025-26 budget? Councilor Lindsay.
I just wanted to share that I will not be voting in favor of this budget this year because of the two changes that have been brought up tonight. One of them being the library, which I'm not comfortable moving off of its dedicated millage. I think it's no coincidence that the same people who distributed a sheet of paper tonight thanking counselors for moving off the millage are the same people who have been coming and trying to get us to move books in the library. This is trying to solve a problem we not have. They're frustrated with some books that are in the library that they think shouldn't be there, and so they've started a whole conversation about changing how libraries are funded. And you can try to say that there are others reasoning behind here, but it's the same supporters, it's the same group, and it's the same conversation. And as much as we can say the libraries are not being heard now, their budget's the same, what this opens up is for future councils to start. I mean, say we have a huge recession, say we have a huge problem in the future, say we have a series of hurricanes with no FEMA, and we're going to have to come in and save it, and we're low on money. It's going to look, okay, do you support EMS or do you support libraries? And of course, people are going to go to EMS. We are setting the libraries up to be cut out in the future if we don't leave them on their own millage. I'm frustrated by this by fixing a problem that wasn't there. We weren't having any problems with the libraries on their millage. And I didn't have people coming to me and saying, you know what I don't like is that there's a line on my taxes, the library millage is there. That was not a problem that needed to be solved. The second problem I don't see needing to solve is our roads. Actually, our roads were an incredible problem 30 years ago, or for 30 years of being not repaired. It's the number one thing I received conversation about when I ran for office and since I've gotten office is please fix our roads. I have never had anyone come and say, I wish the county were paving fewer roads. Or, wow, y'all are spending way too much money on roads. This was not a problem that anybody was having, and I never heard about it and have yet to hear about it. So again, there wasn't a problem, and we've made a budget that slashes road and bridges funding by nearly half. That tax was put in 3 years ago to make up for 20 to 30 years of neglect. Was it an expensive hike at the time? Yes, I was not on council, but I applaud the courage that it took for council members to pass a very expensive hike that was needed to do a lot of repairs. And we had a lot of positive feedback. FixingCountyRoads.com gets a lot of positive reports, and people have finally said, I'm seeing paving trucks. I'm seeing improvements. And we have a long list that the Roads and Bridges staff provided us of their plan for continuing improvements. And a lot of the work that they're going to do with that road reserve fund is to do a little bit of work now to prevent roads from falling into incredible disrepair. So by cutting that fund, what we basically said is we want to save $1 now, and we're going to pay $10 in 10 years. We're setting up future generations to have to yet again have a council do a brave mix to fix lack of funding. So I'm not going to be able to vote for a budget that went out of its way to solve two problems that were not there.
I just want to respond to one thing that you said. The relationship between the books and this millage is totally unrelated. I was the one that brought up the issue with the millage. I got elected in November 2020. I started serving in January 2021. In March, I got a hold of the audit and saw all the advantages that the library had for millage, mainly the savings account that was growing and growing. Other departments did not have that. I saw that it had its own dedicated millage rate that other departments didn't have. I saw a variety of things. There was a movie that was shown in the library, and 5 or 6 months later, it's called The Wrath of Man. The counselor complained about it. Another counselor complained about it, and I chimed in about it. The only thing I said it really shouldn't have been a movie they shown as a movie of the week. Nobody was even talking about books when I first brought this up 4 years ago. It's totally unrelated. I would ask anybody in here, and I was accused once or twice on this tonight, show me the evidence where I'm tied to the book issue. I mean, I was asked a question in a debate a year ago. Right? You know the answer I gave? Library board determines the books in the library. Not the county council, not the library director. The first thing I said to her, the first conversation we had, she said, we agree. I mean, I just don't see the relationship. The reasons I can give you tonight, none of them have anything to do with books. It's a straw man argument. So it's unrelated. It's a financial issue. It's a fairness issue. When the library is on one financial system and the other 30 some odd departments are on another financial system, it creates problems for the administration. It creates infighting. And it's the favoritism. And as a, you know, as a perspective of a county council, I have to be fair to everybody. Now, you're one department, or one that you feel, hey, it's special, I get it. You feel should have unique treatment. But as a councilman who looks at all of it, I can't sit there and say, well, you're getting this better treatment than everyone else. I can live with it. That's been my take on it from the beginning. Any other comments?
I would say on the road issue, you all know I'm a new counselor, just was sworn into office in January. And during my door knocking and my campaigning last year, that was probably the number one or number two issue that people spoke to me about. They didn't have a problem with raising the taxes to the state law 5.3 mils. They had no problem with that. It was the extra. You know, there's obviously with Councilor Linville, there's, you know, she's feels differently on that, and she got a lot of feedback different than what I got, right? But I have to vote for what my constituents want, because I represent them. So, and that's my responsibility as a county councilman to represent the people in my district.
Any other comments? Councilor Holloway?
Well, I ran into some of the same argument while on the campaign trail. There was concern over the optics of deviating from that 5.3 to something higher. And so they were concerned if they will shift from that standard, what else will they do? So there was concern, so that was brought to my attention, so.
Any other comments?
I'd just like to say, I agree with most everything you said about the library situation. And people don't realize, we're mandated by state law, we can't defund the library, even if we wanted to. You know, and I think there's some misinformation possibly out there that we're just gonna strip it down to nothing. I mean, like you said, they got a 7% budget increase. I mean, we could have cut their budget. We're not interested in doing that. It's not a control thing. It's just streamlining the way we're taking in the money on the taxes. I think it's good for them in the long run, and I think it's gonna come out. They're gonna see that it's good for them.
Any other discussion? Final vote on the fiscal budget for 2025. Those in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed, same signs. That passes 4-2. Thank you very much. All right, next item up is going to be item number 11A, Pickens County Water Authority. Councilor Tom Ponder is going to give us an update on what's going on there. Mr. Ponder is the former county councilman with Dacusville for 12 years. 12 years.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Pickens Regional Water System appreciates the opportunity to come before you tonight to give you an update. Chris and Carl, Mr. Carl Hudson, he was on council 2 terms ago. They were very instrumental in seeing this project off the ground. Historically in Pickens County, as far as Pickens County Council is concerned, it's never been interested in being in the water business, but it's always been interested in seeing that water is provided to its residents at a reasonable cost and readily available. So, council appointed me the county water authority after I got off council, and then the council saw fit to give us a $50,000 grant to explore the concept. As a result, the joint water system was formed, and since the last time I spoke with you, there's been a lot of things going on. And I want to recognize Troy Rozier, he's our lead engineer, and he's going to do a PowerPoint. I'll be try to be as pleased as I can. But we're moving along. We're making progress. We're down to 1 permit, the FERC permit, and everything's moving along pretty well with that. It's not everything else involved, sometimes it's so off. You know, we're optimistic that we're going to get where we need to be. We're building a 10 million gallon a day facility on Lake Kiwi, expandable to 15 million gallons a day. because we're looking at prospective growth. The area coverage is in the Savannah River Basin, which includes the entire western sector from Pickens, Liberty, over to the lake. Savannah River Basin, we have Savannah River Basin and Saluda River Basin. So, Batesville, Cedar Rock is in the Saluda River Basin, all the other districts are in the Savannah River Basin. We have a good team of engineers, we have a good design team, we've got a good construction team. As far as our lead engineer, we have Gary Pope, that's been with us since day one. I think some of you may know Gary. We have Kyle Michelle. He's our contact in Columbia, Washington. He's doing a great job with us. We've had to hire a litigation attorney just simply because, you know, you never know what's going to come up. We want to be prepared. Hire River Stillwell with that. We also had to hire a media specialist. Never anticipated that because there was so much misinformation floating around about us and about, you know, why we were pushing so hard. For instance, there was a discussion about the reason our board was pushing so hard, so we had to draw big salaries. Well, this board doesn't receive any compensation anyway, and the board, regardless of who's on it, never will. So that's a complete myth. Those are the kind of things that we have to dispel as we go through this process. We feel like that once we are online, that we'll be able to provide a good water source out of Lake Kiwi for the residents in our coverage area. And as we go forward, we're not into an expansionist agenda. We're into a service agenda. And as we go forward, we feel like our prices will drop as we go down that road. Our customers will benefit, not just today, but for 50 years from now. I think P. Boone Pickens is a pretty smart man, made a lot of money in the oil business, and he bought some land in upper Oklahoma over a big aquifer, and he felt like he could make another $2 or $3 billion before he died just selling water. So water is probably about the most valuable resource we have because we can't live without it. But our system will be a state-of-the-art system. We'll be the only one of its type in the United States. We put a lot of thought into choosing this system. The benefit is that we won't be looking at any kind of upgrades or any maintenance for a good time in the future. So our O&M costs should be in control, and there probably shouldn't be a lot of unanticipated problems, but of course you don't ever know. But Mr. Chairman, members of council, Mr. Roper, we do appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight and give you an update. We're moving. We're very optimistic about the success of the project and what it will mean to the customer we serve. I'm going to turn it over to Troy. He's going to do the talk.
Thank y'all for letting us be here tonight again. Megan, thank you for your help setting this up. She's gonna make it look good. See everything right. This is the start of the system. This is Pickens County, of course. Over to the right, it's in the lower bottom. There's an interbasin transfer line. That's where if you have a drop of water to the west of that line, from the rain, it goes into the Savannah Basin. If it's on the east side of that line, it goes to Charleston through the Saluda Basin. The main goal to begin with is to handle what's in our Savannah Basin and maintain that. The entities there in color, you'll see each one of those. 6 Mile, you'll see down at the bottom of Clemson. We will not be serving Clemson. Easley Central Water District, they'll receive a new source of water from this. They supply Central, and they also supply Highway 88. Liberty, we get the source of water, Easley Central on the east side. Easily combined utility. On the other side, the east side of the interbasin transfer will maintain their current status quo. South side water district can get water. Pickens can get it if they want it. Right now, they have opted out. And then you'll see some arrows there at the top. We can serve the northern part of the county as the system grows. This is a blow up of the area. These show you the infrastructure that will be built. In the right side The vertical line you see on the right side, there's a 24-inch water main in purple, a 20-inch water main in blue, turns into green water line, which is a 12-inch, goes all the way down to 123 at Hardee's. Everybody knows where that is? I know y'all do, y'all go by there all the time. Pickens Alliance, not far from there. That line is currently in place, feeding water, and we are now building what you see in red to the west of the purple line. You'll see a proposed 24-inch main, TMS2, proposed 24-inch water main, again TMS2, that works kind of vertical or northerly. There's a 12-inch main that follows southerly to Easley Central Water District. The far left is a water treatment plant, which I'll show you a little schematic of it in a minute, right on Lake Hughley. It's a ceramic membrane. It'll be made in Austin, Texas, the ceramic membrane. We're getting ahead of the curve. Our PFAS that you keep hearing about now, these forever chemicals, we don't have to worry about those with this type of filtration. If we do, it's a very easy process for us to handle. We don't have to rebuild. We can expand by adding more of these membranes in from 10 million gallons up to 15, actually 16 million gallons a day, just found out today. We will transfer water from west to east and supply everything that you see over there, including US Highway 178 corridor. There'll be a storage facility. You'll see in the top middle, more or less, it says proposed tank site. That will be a 2 million gallon per day tank site. The hydraulic head of that will be about 40 foot higher than Greenville Water System's hydraulic head. So we'll be able to supply any and everybody we want in this future area. Water treatment plant, ABC, it's easy as ABC we say. A and B has been graded. I'll show you some pictures in a minute. That is the clear wells on the site, the actual ceramic plants. Item C, we're waiting on FERC permit, the only permit that we're waiting on at this point. And we had just went through our comment period ending May the 30th. So all the comments in our, we have one comment. And I'm not even sure we have to address it. We found out today. Anyway, you'll see A and B. The B is the actual membrane plant. It is a smaller footprint that you'll compared to a conventional water treatment plant, much more simple. We will not be adding any additional chemicals. You will not get fluoride in this water. It will just be the simple disinfection that goes into it, minimize any additional chemicals that can be detrimental to people's health. Right here is the budget. This may be hard to see, but the capital cost is at $91 million. So far we've gotten, doesn't show the whole picture here, but we've gotten 5.5 in grants for this part. We've gotten 10 million in grants for another part of the project. The annual debt service, 4.39. The debt service cost per 1,000 gallons. That's something to take or swallow. Not 1,000 gallons at a time, but anyway, the cost per 1,000 is how we compare everything. The cost per 1,000, when you get your water bill, you can look at it, you'll see there's a cost per 1,000 on that water bill. Our production cost per 1,000 on a linear scale is $2.20 per 1,000 produced, which is the O&M cost and the debt service. But when we start the plant, we can't operate at full capacity. We'll be operating around 4.5 million gallons per day, but you'll see that first yellow line on the left, 4.0 million gallons per day. You'll see over there $4.01 unit cost per 1,000, and it goes down as you use more water in time based on today's dollars. And I'll give you a graph of this in a minute. But you notice that 10 million gallons per day at full plant capacity back at $2.20 per 1,000. So we can dictate some of this as we use water, as the Pickens County Commerce Park grows, we can get water there. This water goes all the way to that point. As all these subdivisions you're seeing everywhere, and I know y'all had some of them may have lost hair like me over some of these subdivisions trying to come up in the county, but we're prepared for every bit of this, not capacity issues whatsoever for our future. This right here, if you spreadsheet it out, you'll see the first linear line on the left, red squares, that is Greenville Water System rates to Blue Ridge Rural Water. The next one, triangles, the 6 mile water rates Greenville Water System. And with a negotiation with Pickens County Water Authority, that lower blue line, that is going away the first year. In fact, all of these will be shifted from right to left and be more straight up and down with higher rates based on the new rate structure of the Reeba water system. That pretty blue line down the middle is our cost as time goes and how it compares. Now that is on today's dollar basis on the comparison, but we're much better off in the long haul in the future with the cost of this production being so much lower than we are on our current rates with the Wville water system. This is just all the permits we have to get. You'll see one there blue. That is the last thing from Hugh that went to FERC. It is in Washington that we mentioned earlier. It's all done, planned, 100% design everywhere. Got an updated permit today from Mr. Austin Walters. Am I saying that right? Walter Austin, Pickens County Roads and Bridges.
Oh, yeah, Austin Walls, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, anyway, on the tank side, we had to get site distances. We had to go clear a little section so he could see it. He gave us a conditional permit. I got it today that we're good. He liked it. So anyway, we're in the boat moving forward. We got 73,000 linear feet of 24-inch duct line pipe. Those lines you saw earlier, 21,000 12-inch. I mentioned the ceramic membranes. Most everything we've got with this project is made in America. That's part of the specifications we've done it. Yeah, me too. We will have the first, they call them SIC blocks, S-I-C, okay, big letters, SIC blocks coming out of Austin, Texas for this plant. First one in the United States. Really cool. Now, don't think we're on the edge, you're gonna fall off for technology. This is Japanese technology been doing in the country for 20 plus years. It's not something we're inventing. Yes, sir, you got it.
I have a question. So just the real simple, when is the plant going to be started?
The plant right now is scheduled for the end of 2026. It could go in the first year of 2027.
To start?
Yes, sir.
How long is it going to take to build?
From as soon as FERC gives us this go ahead, yeah, we've got it planned
No,
out to
from
be
the
in
time,
September.
the first block to the time it's finished.
At this point, a year and a half. So we're already got some of it done, which I'll show you in a minute.
So you're saying it's beginning of 27, so middle of 2028, you think it'll be done?
No, whole year before that.
Okay, so first block.
2025. Half a year and another year and a half to the year end of 2026. That's our construction consultants. That's what they've given us a schedule on right now.
So
that's if we begin in September.
It's going to be finished when?
The end of 2026.
Okay.
Y'all had a lot on you
how
tonight. I couldn't see it, brother.
91 million, how you paying for it?
USDA, or even we go to the bond market. Right now, we're under USDA. Brian Jordan, he's taking it to Washington. We took it last week. We've met with the USDA in Columbia. We have our lobbyists in Washington also with this. It's a 4.18%. And the graph I showed you a while ago, back up a minute, you'll see the debt service on this is $1.20 per thousand. That's the beauty of the project, because you get to carry that debt service to the end of the 30 or 40 year period. Now, if we go to the bond market, it'll be a hair more than that.
How much cash did you put down?
Sir?
Cash.
We don't have to put e-cash in.
So
we have a bridge loan.
Didn't the state give you some grant money?
We've gotten 15.5 million in grants so far.
Okay,
Using it on the project. Yes, sir. But far as with USDA, we don't have any down money, if you want to call it.
Okay, so you basically 50. So you're borrowing about 75 million.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Any other questions?
Keep rolling. I'm stuck. There we go. These are just some of the permits, just to let you know, the surface water withdrawal permit is in hand. This is the DES permit to build a water treatment plant. This is for Duke Energy. We've got permits for everything. This is the entrance of Highway 183. We'd love to show you out there sometime if you want to go see it. This is what's constructed now. This is supposed to be a video. Yes, okay. This is where the clear wells are going on the site. Man, thank you. You're smooth, lady. That's where the clear wells out of the water treatment plant will go. We did hit a piece of rock right there. I did that for my benefit because I got measured. And then the far area over there where you see the construction office and everything, that is where the actual membrane plant goes. And you'll see a little bit of the lake in the background, right there. And we're gonna move on. This is some of the construction going in the ground. This is on Kellyville Road. 12-inch main being bored under the road. This is the actual bore. This is the size of that 24-inch pipe. Can anybody read what's in the middle of that pipe? Can you read it? It says American. It's an American-made pipe. Sorry, my picture's not the best. There's a crossing near a culvert taking care of roads and bridges. This is the pipe yard. Wrote some erosion control, more erosion control. This is on Bowling Road. And back to your other agenda items. Excuse me.
Thank
Y'all
you.
have any questions?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next, thank you very much. Next item up is going to be 11B. It's consideration of ATAX funding application for the Dacusville Heritage Association. Mr. Roper, you're up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. During our initial review process, the ATAX committee did not recommend awarding 65% funding to the Dacusville Heritage Association due to their belief that the organization was not in attendance at the mandatory ATAC workshop. It's since been pointed out to them, and they can document that they, in fact, they were there. So they were disqualified unfairly. So the committee's gone back and revisited that recommendation, and the committee is asking you it meets the criteria under category 2 of the established rules. Staff recommends awarding $4,500 from the 65% ATAX funds to the Dacusville Heritage Association.
Okay. I'm going to make a motion to accept that as presented. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Council Holloway, that's your district. You got anything to say about that? Oh. Yeah.
I should say, I didn't think we had any money left in that bucket. I thought we spent all of our ATAX funds.
Yeah, there's still that amount left. I think that's what they took into account when they recommended this.
Tell me what that money could be used for.
Well, the Heritage Association actually facilitates the Dacusville Farm Days, which is a massive undertaking. A lot of expense incurred with that, and so this money will greatly help in this endeavor at Dacusville.
Any other discussion on that? The 4,500 ATAX money is, I guess it's 65% money I got for the Dacusville Heritage Association. Those in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed, same sign. Pass unanimously. Council Linville, did you vote for that? She can't see us. She can't hear us. Megan? Could you hear us?
Sorry, I lost you for a second.
Okay. Did you vote for that or not?
Yes.
You did. Okay. It passes you now. Okay, next item up is the consent agenda. Nothing's on the consent agenda. Next item up is executive session. I'm going to make a motion for 2 items: personnel performance review and a contractual matter with Project Flat, Blackhawk, and Exodus. That's my motion. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? We're going to take a 10-minute break, and then we're going to be in the back. Any other discussion? Those in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed, same sign. Passes unanimously. Thank you very much.